Old Miss Radley died that winter, but her death caused hardly a ripple. The neighborhood seldom saw her except when she watered her cannas. Jim and I decided that Boo had got her at last, but when Atticus returned from the Radley house, he said she died of natural causes, to our disappointment. The world's ending, Atticus. Please do something. I dragged him to the window and pointed.
No, it's not, he said. It's snowing.
Jim asked, How do you make a snowman?
I haven't the slightest idea, said Atticus. I don't want you all to be disappointed, but I doubt if there will be enough snow for a snowball leaving.
We shouldn't walk about in it, said Jem. Look, every step is wasting our snow.
Go.
Could Scout and me borrow some of your snow?
Heaven's light, take it all. There's an old peach basket under the house. Haul it off in that.
When we had 5 baskets of earth and 2 baskets of snow, Jem said we were ready to begin. Don't you think this is kind of a mess? I said. Looks messy now, but it won't later, he said. Jem scooped up an armful of dirt and patted it into the mound, on which he had another load and another until he constructed a torso. Jem, I ain't ever heard of a nigger snowman, I said. He won't be black long, he grunted. Jem scooped up some snow and began plastering it on the snowman. He permitted me to cover only the back, saying the public parts were for himself. Gradually, Mr. Avery turned white.
Go.
Atticus strolled over to Miss Maudie's sidewalk, where they engaged in an arm-waving conversation. The only phrase of which I caught was,
Erected an absolute morphodite in the yard, Atticus. You'll never raise him.
Baby, get up.
Atticus was holding out my bathrobe and coat.
Put your robe on first,
He said.
Hurry, hon,
Said Atticus.
Here's your shoes and socks.
Stupidly, I put them on. Is it morning?
No, it's a little after 1. Hurry now.
That something was wrong finally got through me. What's the matter? Whose is it?
Miss Maudie's, hon,
Said Atticus gently. At the front door, we saw fire spewing from Miss Maudie's dining room windows. As if to confirm what we saw, the town fire siren wailed up the scale to a double pitch and remained there screaming. It's gone, ain't it? Moaned Jem.
I expect so, said Atticus. Now listen, both of you. Go down and stand in front of the Radley place. Keep out of the way, do you hear? See which way the wind's blowing?
Oh, said Jem. Atticus, reckon we ought to start moving the furniture out?
Not yet, son. Do as I tell you. Run now. Take care of Scout, do you hear? Don't let her out of your sight.
With a push, Atticus started us toward the Radley front gate. We stood watching the street fill with men and cars while fire silently devoured Miss Maudie's house. Why don't they hurry? Why don't they hurry? Muttered Jem. We saw why. The old fire truck, killed by the cold, was being pushed from town by a crowd of men. When the men attached its hose to a hydrant, the hose burst and water shot up, tinkling down on the pavement. Then Mr. Avery's face appeared in the upstairs window. He pushed a mattress out the window onto the street and threw down furniture until men shouted, "Come down from there, Dick. The stairs are going. Get out of there, Mr. Avery." Mr. Avery began climbing through the window. "Scout, he's stuck," breathed Jem. "Oh, God." Mr. Avery was wedged tightly. I buried my head under Jem's arm and didn't look again until Jem cried, "He got loose, Scout. He's all right."
I thought I told you and Jem to stay put,
he said. "Why, we did. We stayed."
Then whose blanket is that?
Blanket?
Yes, ma'am. Blanket. It isn't ours.
I looked down and found myself clutching a brown woolen blanket I was wearing around my shoulders, squaw fashion. "Atticus, I don't know, sir." I turned to Jem for an answer, but Jem was even more bewildered than I. He said he didn't know how it got there. We did exactly as Atticus told us. We stood down by the Radley gate, away from everybody. We didn't move an inch. Jem stopped. Mr. Nathan was at the fire, he babbled. I saw him. He was tugging that mattress, Atticus, I swear.
That's all right, son. Atticus grinned slowly. Looks like all of Maycomb was out tonight, in one way or another. Jem, there's some wrapping paper in the pantry, think. Go get it and we'll...
Miss Maudie looked around, and the shadow of her old grin crossed her face.
Always wanted a smaller house, Jem Finch. Gives me more yard. Just think of all the more room I'll have for my azaleas now.
You ain't grieving, Miss Maudie? I asked, surprised. Atticus said her house was nearly all she had.
Grieving, child? Why, I hated that old car barn. Thought of setting fire to it 100 times myself, except they'd lock me up.
But...
Don't you worry about me, Jean Louise Finch. There are ways of doing things you don't know about. While I'll build me a little house and take me a couple of roomers, and gracious, I'll have the finest yard in Alabama. Those Bill-a-Grails look plain punny when I get started.
Miss Maudie said.
Thank you, sir, but you've got a job of your own over there.
She pointed to our yard. You mean the Morphodite? I asked. Shoot, we can rake him up in a jiffy. Miss Maudie stared down at me, her lips moving silently. Suddenly, she put her hands to her head and whooped. When we left her, she was still chuckling. Jem said he didn't know what was the matter with her. That was just Miss Maudie. Whose is it?
Miss Maudie's, hon, said Atticus gently.
At the front door, we saw the fire spewing from Miss Maudie's dining room windows. As if to confirm what we saw, the town fire siren wailed, "Woo!" The sounds are terrible. "Woo!" Then Mr. Avery's face appeared in the upstairs window. He pushed a mattress. Then Mr. Avery's face appeared in the upstairs window. He pushed a mattress out. Wait, you should make that the mattress.